Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Prime Minister of Canada is in New York. He went yesterday with a great contingent of the ministers, bureaucrats, and supposedly experts in political drama. And the purpose was to lobby for a seat on Security Council. Having failed this year to get a seat, they are trying to get a seat in 2021. And considering the fact there are still 2 years to go for the vote, you are not sure what happens in these 2 years. The world landscape is changing fast. And in the fast changing landscape, the geopolitical landscape, it's not possible to gauge who would vote for Canada. You couldn't be sure about Mexico. Mexico and Canada were fighting a joint war with USA on the NAFTA issue. And yet, when it came to the crux, Mexico ditched Canada. And all the hopes of Canada of having a joint front with Mexico were dashed to the ground. Would Prime Minister be successful? Now, there's a second part of this. Who knows who would be in power here in Canada itself? By all Gallup polls, it's likely that Conservatives would be in power. And would Prime Minister Trudeau hand over something to the Conservatives on a platter? There are many issues. Now let's see, one thing is clear, that till year 2000, in every decade, every 10 years of the UN existence, Canada had a seat on the Security Council. Not as a permanent member, it never was a permanent member, there are only 5 permanent members. But every time, once in 10 years, it would contest a seat and not lose it. The first time we lost was in 2010. And then after that, we never got it. It's 2018 now. 18 years have passed. Every 2 years there's an election. So this visit of Justin Trudeau is behind the scene diplomacy at a week-long event where Prime Minister and his member of the cabinet are there. As a matter of fact, the last was June 8, when 2020 elections were held. And Canada refrained from campaigning. It lost a seat, but it didn't campaign even. And they say we did not campaign because decency says we should not campaign. What rot? You want a seat and you don't want to campaign for it. And in an era of the democracy, when things are decided by the elections, and if you don't want to lobby, if you don't want to promote yourself, why should anybody vote for you? So, the point was that nobody was willing to listen to Canada. But is the world going to listen to it? What are the ground realities? It's important that next year's General Assembly coincides with the height of the campaign. And that next year is going to be an issue when 2 things take place. In Canada, federal elections take place, deciding the fate of the government, and also the elections take place for the new Security Council. There are to be 2 members elected, and there are 3 contestants. And all these elections of the Western group attracted a lot of attention. They are highly competitive, and this one will be no exception. As last time we had 3 competitors and 2 seats, and we lost. We lost to Portugal. Last time in the election, Norway and Portugal won, and Canada lost. This time, the contestant is not Portugal, it is Ireland and Norway and Canada. And would Canada win against them? Now let's see the ground realities. Norway and Ireland have a clear edge on Canada. Norway gave UNO its first Secretary General, Tergve Lee, and it has been responsible and instrumental in achieving peace agreements in some of the most difficult conflicts, whether it was Oslo Accord of 1990s between Israel and PLO, but it has played a major role. And whenever the people are fighting for negotiations, they go to Norway. Backstage diplomacy, negotiations all take place in that country. So Norway has an edge diplomatically. Secondly, Norway's generosity is much more than that of Canada. While the Oslo Accord conflict ended the conflict at that time between Israel and Gaza, there was another agreement, that was Sri Lanka agreement, that Norway also got signed. Then Colombia also appealed to Norway for help. And the peace agreement of Sri Lanka was successful to a great extent, not fully, but Colombian agreement is still successful. So now coming to the generosity of Norway, Norway gives 1% of its GDP to the developing countries as aid. 1%. Canada gives 0.26%, 1/4 of what Norway gives. So immediately the people from the developing countries would vote for Norway because they know that Norway is the bread giver. Let's not forget, money makes the mayor go. And the developing countries are obliged to Norway. So that is a selling point. Now, secondly, Israel, now comes Ireland, the second competitor. And the problem is that even here, Ireland excels in area at which at one time Canada was an outstanding country. That is UN peacekeeping. Ireland has double the number of people, the soldiers in peacekeeping missions, than Canada has. Now Canada has sent 260 million people to Mali. But it has also, Ireland has not only in Mali, it has in Syria, Western Sahara, Congo, and Kosovo. And 600 people are there. So 260 people from Canada, 600 people from Ireland. And then since 1958, Ireland has been contributing to the peacekeeping mission. So diplomats all over the world agree that Norway and Ireland are tough competitors. At this time, Canada does not have 128 votes that it needs to win a seat outright. So they came up with this very zany, clownish idea. They said, let's share a seat with Ireland. The point is, it's like somebody saying, well, let's do it, but is the other party willing? You want to save face. They came up with a seat sharing that, okay, for half the tenure, Ireland would be the represent having the seat in Security Council, and for the remaining term, Canada would be there. Now, it would be safe, face saving for Canada. But would Ireland agree to it? Ireland has confidence, you say, we believe we can win on the first round, and we don't need to share the seat. In case Ireland was in a doubt that they would not win in the first round, they might have agreed. But now, coming to the basics, both Norway and Ireland are much more strong and capable of winning votes than Canada is. Earlier, last time, what happened? The two countries were Germany and Portugal. And the issue was Israel. In the very first round, Germany won 2/3 of the seats. And during the second round, Portugal was much ahead of Canada. But the Harper government at that time was very clear, because the main crux was Israel, and Harper said that we have a principled foreign policy and we will not ditch Israel for the sake of Security Council seat. So that was something different. But this time there's no principle involved. In December 2017, Canada abstained on a vote condemning the unilateral decision of US to move its embassy to Jerusalem. And that is going to irk a number of Middle East countries. Saudi Arabia is already against Canada. They have broken all even diplomatic relations. So the strategy that Trudeau government is employing is not visible. What has the government done to convince 192 countries to vote for Canada in June 2020? This is a major question. Norway and Ireland both supported the motion against USA, along with 126 countries, and those people are happy with them. And they say that they are going to spend about $10 million on this campaign. They have already spent $500,000. So what have we done or not done is important. There's no information. The situation is very hazy, as admitted by Gillies Rivard, former Canadian ambassador to United Nations. And he then clearly stated, and he was the Canadian ambassador to UNO, that the strategy of the government is not visible. Government hasn't done anything to convince 192 members to vote for it. And let's not take it. It's a secret ballot. If Germany had 2 less votes last time, the whole picture would have been different. But Germany is again a very strong proponent. And it helps people. So does Canada. But there's more of talk than the reality. So the countries that are elected are the countries that show the world that they're relevant. That they show the world that what they do is for the good of the people. They don't show their socks. Those are the countries that make a big difference. And then they prove it that they can make a difference. Now, as I stated earlier, that this time Norway is outstanding. You cannot compete with Norway. A, because of its aid to the developing countries, and secondly, because of its peacekeeping record. Second is Ireland, and Ireland is already outpacing Canada in every way. The Middle Easterns are in favor of Ireland. Ireland has more peacekeeping forces around the world. So, on what basis is Trudeau government hoping to win the campaign? How do they expect that in 2021 we would have our ambassadors sitting in the Committee of Security Council membership? These are things which have to be strategized properly. For example, you cannot annoy half a dozen countries. We annoyed USA. And when USA is annoyed, a number of countries would be annoyed automatically because they don't want to annoy USA. At the sign of TPP, Prime Minister Trudeau left the signings ceremony and they signed it later on. That was a bad show. That lacked grace, that lacked dignity. So the quest for UN Security Council is a very difficult thing. It's mired in the realities that show that Canada doesn't have the clout it once had. I wish Canada to win. Being a Canadian, it's my wish to win. But I only hope and trust that the political leadership would be perceptive enough to understand and make out a case to the other countries that we matter and we mean good of the people. Just saying we are good doesn't help. We have to prove that we are good. Good not for ourselves, but for the billions of the people all over the globe. Till that, it's nice to dream, but the dream should be such which we can realize. Thank you.